Hello everybody, how are you? Hello Rosemary, hello Phil. I'll be jumping on Discord shortly. Welcome along everybody. Tuesday the 25th of August. Where's this month gone? Hope you're all alright. Let's wait for a few more to join us. I know there's quite a few watching later. So hello when you're watching later. Welcome. Hiya Louise. Warm red is cadmium red. Cool red is crimson. Warm yellow is cadmium yellow. Cool yellow is lemon. Warm blue is ultramarine. Cool blue cerulean. If you've got sticky labels, you could just add those, or you could do where it says warm, think of orange. For the reds, cool, think of purple. Which is weird actually when you think about it. And the terminology of cool and warm is very relative depending on what's going on with the surrounding colours, because ultramarine is a warm blue and it's purple based, whereas crimson is a cool red but that's purple based. So really I'd like to see paints labelled just orange red, orange yellow, purple red, green yellow, purple blue, green blue. I would find that so much easier. But the art companies like to make it a little bit tricky for everybody, don't they? So I'll squeeze out the colours. I'm just waiting for a few more to join, but I don't know how many are going to join today. I really don't. I just need to chop out a bit of this palette. So obviously we need a bit of white, which is neither cool nor warm. I'll get onto Discord once I've squeezed my paints out. I'm a bit behind. This has been one of those days today. I've got Jackie for a little a little minute longer. So we want warm orange, yellow, cad yellow, cool yellow. We don't need much of that, just a little bit, which is lemon yellow or a green yellow. We want an orange based red, which is a warm red, which is cadmium red. That's going to be your biggest colour, I think. So of all the things you need to squeeze out, that's the one that you need to squeeze. A bit of crimson, because it is there still, which is your other red. You cool red. I'll probably need more than that, because mine's quite opaque. Then you want your ultramarine, which is your purple blue, or a warm blue. And we will go with black. have to doctor my palette, you see. Have you noticed where I've had to cut a notch so my camera can fit in? That's fine, works okay. So I know a few will be joining later, but I know many will join in. We've got lots of dippers and divers, which is lovely. And as usual, once Jackie goes, I'll have to run down and serve if I've got any customers. Hello to you on Discord. That's alright. There's nothing to draw today. No, it's good, isn't it? There's you and Chris, Rosemary. Reverberating. I find a thumb like, you know, your thumb joint, your top thumb joint, you need either that much or a little bit less on it for an A4. But obviously with some colours you need more, some colours you need less. So it varies. But I always end up with a thumbnail size to start with. But no, with the cadmium red we'll be using more of that. It's really interesting. I've printed out my colour sheet just so I can see it a little bit more clearly. But look at the difference when it appears on your screen compared to the digital version that you've got on the top right of your screen. In fact, the camera is not showing it any justice. In my eyes, it's vibrant red and purples, whereas on the screen it's more orange based. Yes, you should do Discord, Phil, because you don't have to type and talk then. You can just talk to me. I'll still ignore you, but you can still talk to me. Ultramarine and cadmium red are the two main colours today. Yeah, not a huge amount of lemon. Lemon we'll just do for touching up the vibrant bits down the bottom. You gotta get covered. It's just the rules, isn't it? I'm putting light on. Five of you. Welcome along, everybody. Do say hello. Don't be shy. Yeah. Well, I've got some crimson just in case I might want to add it in the upper regions. So we'll start about 1/4 past. No, probably not. Or oftentimes it's about loading how much paint you have on your brush. I like a really full loaded brush, you see. So keep your eye on when I load the brush up. I like a really full brush of paint. So it's not necessarily how much paint you're squeezing out, it's how much you've got on your brush, and that's what makes a big difference, I think. No. Sometimes I would. Sometimes I might work on a black background, so I'd paint it all black if it was a lot more. If it was all red, I would have probably worked on a black background, to be honest, or a solid pink or purple background as a base. But today we're going to do it in patches. Absolutely, because it's not like watercolor and it's opaque and we can cover it up. It doesn't really make a difference. And if you let each layer dry, it works fine. Yeah, that's tricky, but you get that sometimes as well, don't you, Chris? When you've painted your surface, the bits of white appear. I still get that at time. You think you've covered it all, and then as it dries, because it dries matte, it just appears. I've got a little flat brush that I'll probably be using for most of it. I tend to use more flat brushes with acrylics, and there's not any particular reason why. There's not like the law, but I find flat brushes give me a better blend for acrylics. Well, this says 12, which means absolutely nothing unless you've got this set. But it's kind of like half an inch flat, I suppose. Excellent. Now you're drawn, yeah. Easiest one to do today. Didn't Louise, by the way, I forgot you were there. I was just going to talk about you then. Didn't Louise's hay bale look gorgeous from yesterday's class, Chris? Did you see it? Wasn't it amazing? Well done, Louise. Really nice. If you go too big, you'll end up either having too much paint or your brush strokes will be too big. Because we're not going to be doing large areas. Yes. I mean, I'm really impressed with everybody's waves as well. You know, even this. No, but I mean, some of them looked absolutely stunning that were doing it live. I mean, I know others did have an extra fiddle afterwards, but no, the wave class was amazing. Oh, that's good. Yeah, but not like your normal length of fiddle time. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Do you remember Doreen, Chris? She always used to make notes, didn't she? Yeah. I think that's why these online classes are quite good now, isn't it? Because you can always watch it back and learn the mixes again and that kind of thing. So what I've done is I've just wet the brush and dried it off because I've not used acrylics since Saturday. I haven't used these brushes since Saturday, so they're quite dry. And we're going to put the blue bit of sky in first, the sort of purpley blue bit around the clouds, because the clouds are in front of it. So I'm going to go with a bit of ultramarine, a tiny bit of cadmium red, and a little bit of white. Maybe a little bit more red. Maybe a bit more white. Yeah, ultramarine. So it is kind of like a purple. Slightly bluer purple. But I do want it a little bit paler than that. And then I'm just going to look at where, roughly, where this sky is going to go. Yeah, only slightly, and then you add a little bit of white to it. So I've gone with a bit more white as I'm coming down. You see, it's going to seem really strong to start with because there's nothing else on the page. That's alright. Just add a tiny bit. Cadmium red, and Kevin will vouch for this when he watches it. Cadmium red is a hungry colour, and it does tend to eat up all the other colours on the palette. So you're better off adding bits of cadmium red incrementally. But I am adding more white as we come further down. Yeah, but don't forget you're seeing it through a screen, so the colours aren't going to be exact. Use the reference photograph as your main colour rather than my colour. So it's basically it is a bluey purple. But I need to come down. Yeah, dab it in. Roundabout. Yeah. Well, just a bit above halfway, really. Because it's where the blue bits are.
I need to leave that our customer very soon. He's going to come back and pick up mountboard, which is on the cafe table. In due course. Okay.
I wouldn't leave it on the cafe table.
That's where she chose to.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't because I can't keep an eye on everything. If the door goes, somebody could steal it. It can't stay on the cafe table. Because I've got no camera, I can't see anything. And by the time I've been and gone downstairs, so it can't stay there. Yeah, I mean, it's better to paint a bigger space than you need because you can paint over it. So it doesn't really matter. So that's all I'm going to do with the purpley colour. Well, sort of. It has. I'm going to do that with a different tone of purple though. But you could do it with the cadmium red and ultramarine. Yeah. Because as I'm going to get a bit lower, I'm going to add a little bit more red and a bit more white to this. get towards the horizon. And then just keep adding more red. What's that? No, I'm leaving the top. I'm not doing the top. No, not now. It'd be a totally different colour. We need to concentrate on the colour mix that we've already got to save having to worry about mixing a different colour altogether. So all I'm doing is adding more red to the blue that we've to the colour that we've already got. Red and a little bit of white, and then we'll add a bit of yellow to that. So it adds it changes slowly rather than flitting about. If you start flitting about with your colours, then I don't know is the answer. I won't know until the rest of the colours are in on to how dark to make it. So it might be a brighter purple, or it might be a really dark purple. So as it's coming down, I'm adding a bit more red and a little bit of cadmium yellow now. So it starts to go, it's not sort of vibrant at all. And then a little bit of cadmium yellow. And there's a little bit of white in this. Because we've got clouds to come across all of this, so don't worry too much. Little bit of cad yellow, yeah. I mean, it helps if your paint's still workable, because what's happened to me is that some of it has lifted off because it hasn't quite dried, but it wasn't wet enough to blend, so it's changed the colour. But I know I'm going to be putting clouds and stuff on it, so this is really just base blocking in as a background. Green. Well, yeah, I mean, because you've added more cadmium red to the purple, it shouldn't really be purple at all. It should be going more red. So when you add the yellow, it doesn't go green. It should go more of a dirty orange before it goes green. I mean, this is all just a layer. I mean, you could paint it all green, you could paint it all black. It doesn't really matter. We just need some sort of colour for the clouds to hang upon. Otherwise, we'd just be spending hours painting over and painting over and painting over. So as long as it's orange-ish, pink-ish, purplish, bluish, then that's all that really matters. Excuse me one sec, I'm just going to nip downstairs. I'll be back in one sec, but this needs to dry anyway. So it doesn't matter if you've got streaks, it doesn't matter if you've got lines, it doesn't matter. As long as you've got some colour on there, that's all that should matter. Well, we put in about 500 clouds on it, so it don't really matter. The colour that's down here is hardly going to be noticeable. Or the whole picture, we've got about 30 layers to put on. So it doesn't matter what's underneath. But we need something underneath, otherwise it'd be white. So I want to make sure that this is dry before I go on to it, because otherwise I'll be lifting off the colours that I'm putting on. If you notice, I've left about, I don't know, a finger width or a thumb width at the bottom, because that's where the land is going to go. Oh, I don't know, Phil, because normally Nick sets me up with this, and I can't go on to, if I go on to the group thing, I'll lose the people that I'm already talking to. So we might have to leave it this week, and then I'll sort you out for the next time, if that's all right. Or go on to the student of the archery Facebook, and it'll explain. I think there's a link on there that you can go to our server, and then I have to put you in the right group. So it's something I can't do mid-lesson, I'm afraid. Right, so I've cleaned my brush. And I've got cadmium red and a little bit of cadmium yellow. And I'm going to put this in all of the bits that are white. This is, yeah, more cadmium red. Why do you need to start again? This is acrylics. You could literally have spilt a whole black load of paint on your canvas, and as long as it's dry, you can paint over it, so it doesn't make any difference at all. Why? So this is filling roughly the white spaces. Yes, for now. There's going to be lots of stuff that we're going to be adding on, but at the moment it's just cadmium red with a bit of cadmium yellow. Even where it's going to be darker. Well, it's going to change. It's not going to stay this colour, but it's the main base that we can lighten and darken. Or wherever you've got white bits. No. I'm not even worrying that I haven't covered all of this up. I've still got lots of white gaps. I just need to get some colour on. I'm not taking this right to the top, but I am making sure there are patches up there with it. So it's exactly the same colour. I've done nothing other than mix more of it up because I need more of it. It's that storm. I can't remember which storm it is, but we've got 2 storm fronts, I think, coming up. Francis, that's the one, because Ireland had Ellen, didn't they? And then we've got Francis. light is gone.
Well, ladies just go up to sleep and then think it's gone. So I've left him a note if you could pass that message on.
Oh, yeah.
I've left it next to the knives by
The lights are off upstairs.
I didn't know whether he was in or not.
No.
So he had a bit of a wasted trip, but I don't know.
It's not our fault.
No. He didn't tell me whether he was leaving or not, so I didn't know. Okay, I'm going to go and buy the stuff downstairs and then I'll put your sign up and then I'll go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in today.
Okay. Couldn't find 2 HB pencils, so you might have to put that on there.
I'll put it on the list.
Oh, yeah. And grey board. Only grey board. Unless you've got some more somewhere. You might do. Okay.
I don't think we have actually, not grey
I'm
board.
going to put it with a question mark.
Yes, I don't think we have got grey
I'll
board.
put a question
I know
mark.
we've got
You haven't
foam
any-
board and
haven't
we've got
any.
mount board.
I've not got any.
Okay. Right, so it's slowly building up. And you'll see all the white bits around the edges of the clouds. That's fine. In fact, I'm going to use a little bit of this orange that's left on my plate with a lot of water, and I'm just going to put a little bit more of an orange glaze right at the bottom. Well, a red glaze really. Right down here. So a glaze is a really watered down bit of paint. And I'm doing it stripy and streaky. Just to tint it, because I don't want the yellow to stand out too much, well, in the background, because I want because there's some nice almost white yellow clouds down there, isn't there? So I want to make sure that it's dark enough for it to stand out. And then I've just cleaned my brush. Okay, well, obviously the horizon's got to go on, so once the horizon's on, then it won't look like a horizon. Always clean your brush in between colours in this, because you're going to be dealing with a whole range of things, so you don't want any of the other colour to come into it. Doesn't matter if your water's dirty, but your brush needs to be paint free, unless you've got several brushes on the go. I'm probably going to mix a little bit of the cad red and a little bit of crimson together, just to make a slightly different tone right at the top. And I'm just giving my brush a good old twist and dragging it along as I go. So same brush, just giving it a good old twist. It's sort of on its edge, but I'm rolling it between my finger and thumb. Yeah, and sort of let it go into the red. But this is all going to have purple on, but the reason why we put this down is so when the if you miss a bit, it doesn't really matter and you haven't got white bits. So this is just to cover it all in. It is. You've only done about 3 acrylics, so definitely a learning curve. I'm adding a bit more crimson by itself on my brush, and I'm just lightly dragging it over the rest of the orangey clouds on the upper parts of each bit, just so it changes the tone a little bit. We're going to do more with it, but for now. I forgot I need a bit more cadmium red. I've missed out some clouds. start bridging the gap. Stormy weather. I'll give my brush a bit of a clean again. I might go with a slightly smaller flat brush next, which is the number 6. Because what I think I might do is do the highlights, then it will make me think about the purples, the darker bits. Gosh, 10 to 3 already. I mean, you could do, but I mean, if you look at the reference photo, you're not going to see much of that colour anyway. And you once the yellow's on and then the dark purples are on, you can paint over it in between. But I'd wait and see. I mean, unless it's a totally alien colour that doesn't even look like anything, I wouldn't bother. Well, what tone is it though? Is if it's basically either orange, purple, or yellow, or red, it's fine. Yeah, okay. I would put a bit of a. That's a big piece in it, Rosemary. You working? What size are you working on? Okay. Oh yeah, there we go. I would probably go, is it dried now? I would go then and mix some red and yellow up with a little bit of white and just go over the top. Just a little bit. Actually, because it's like 5-3, nearly, I'm gonna down tools for a minute, just check on the shop floor, put the kettle on, and make myself a drink. So cad red, cad yellow, and a little bit of white. Yeah. If it was a slightly light, if it was slightly more orange in tone, it would have been fine, I think. But it's just right. So I'm gonna check on the shop floor, and I'll be back in a minute. But make your drinks if you need to make a drink. Right, so I am back, and I'm going to go with a bit of white and a little bit of lemon. No, but you'll be able to do the other bits with this. And white. You need a bit of white because with acrylics, the yellows are always more transparent, you see. So that a little bit of white with it just makes it a little bit punchy. I'm using the smaller flat brush as well. I'm doing more of a tap and drag motion. I bet you've finished already, haven't you, Chris? Yeah, that's it, isn't it? It's getting all the different tones. So I'm doing a little bit with my finger at the minute. Going over that area there. So putting a bit of paint on, tapping it with my finger to soften it. I do enjoy finger painting. It's where my skill set is at. No, it's wherever the yellow bits are. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to be working my way up, doing the underside of each cloud with this, where you can see just roughly where it's hitting. Yeah, you don't need much white, just so that it's dominantly yellow. Because if you watch my video on whites, you'll see that the titanium white will bleach out too much and you'll end up with the cream. If that does happen, if you have put too much white in, then when it's dry, you see, you can just add a little bit more yellow on top of it, so it adds as a bit of a base colour. There's a nice bit of yellow up there, isn't there? Might do a bit with cadmium yellow later, but I wanted to get the nice punchy lemon on to start with, and that would give me enough incentive to keep going. And it's quite good when you're painting clouds in this way. Let your paint run out, so you sort of do a bit on the bit where you really want the strength of colour, and then as the paint runs out on the brush, do it in other areas where you want softer lines, and it really helps with the naturalness of tone. So you're not constantly charging your brush up all the time, you know. Loads of layers today. So there's more here, isn't there, than I've put on. I haven't put anywhere near enough on. Might do the rest with a sort of more of an orangey coral colour next, I think. So far all of this has just been lemon and white. want to see how this plays out against other colours. So I will go with a bit of cad red and cad yellow and white, so it goes a sort of orangey coral colour. So it's lighter than the tones that we've put on so far. Not much white. White's just useful enough to give us extra flavour, but we don't want it to monopolise. Maybe I want a bit more red than that. Oh no, maybe I don't. Is your bottom dry yet, Rosemary? It's a good job Nick's not here as well then. I think he starts back to work next week. But I think also he's had a lot of other work that he's had to get done as well. Yeah. His OU stuff. Yeah. No, you see, I always had the hope that I would go back and do an art history degree or something, but now I can't. I haven't got the time or the money. I'll just remember that I'm here till 9 tonight, so I hope it doesn't get too windy or stormy. There were lots of... on my way through Cropredy this morning to get in, there were loads of twigs and branches on the road, but I don't know if it was the storm that brought them down, because they're all very green and luscious looking, or whether a tractor had been down earlier this morning, because sometimes they catch them, don't they? But I think the wind has had something to do with it today. Right, just heard the shop door. I'm going to have to go down because obviously the cafe's closed today, so I can't tell who's here or who isn't, or we've got new people moving into the cellar and I don't know if it's them or not, because they don't announce, nobody announces themselves, so it's quite frustrating. I just can't tell who's here in the building. I'm just going to nip down and have a look. I think it's the cellar people that have just left for the day, so... That's probably why then, isn't it? But you'll be fine. Just because you've done one good painting, it doesn't mean that a bad one will follow. It's not the law. Well, but this is a totally different thing. I mean, if you painted a crashing wave on Saturday, this is totally not the same. You know, it's very different, and we don't do a lot that focus just on clouds, do we, Chris, in acrylics? Because it is trickier. I can't remember when we did one. I think we did a stormy one in acrylic class a while ago. I know Trish, I can remember not long after you started, Trish, we did a stormy one, I think. But we don't do very many cloud studies per se, so it's quite nice to do something different, even if it is a little bit frustrating, because it's, I think the hardest thing with skies is getting it random and getting it so your clouds are not hard solid edges, which is not easy to do. Even those that have been painting a long time will struggle to get fluffiness, because you want it to be awe-inspiring in a way. You want the colour to look like, wow, that's amazing, but equally you still want it to look like clouds. You still want it to look like sky. I need to add a bit more white, I think. Well, I did an art history lecture last Thursday on Dadaism, and I mean, that's as wacky as they come. No. Right, I've got a customer. I'll have to run downstairs. I'll clean my brush. It probably looks better than mine, Phil. Mine's not looking much like the photograph. Look at it. Well, yeah, it does look like a sky, but not necessarily what was in my head. Wait till it's finished. You can't judge a painting an hour into a 2 hour and a bit class. I know, but you're nearly always wrong on this occasion with your paintings. You do amazing things. The thing is, you've got to remember that this is not watercolour, and that you can just constantly paint over it and add a bit and take away and change the whole way the painting looks. Which, whilst with watercolour you can do an element of that, with acrylics you can just keep adding and taking and changing, and a bit more yellow, like Chris was saying earlier with his. It's like, oh, do I need to make this a bit lighter now? I need to make this a bit darker now. This bit needs to go darker now. This bit needs to go lighter. So it's a very, yeah, I mean it's a process, isn't it? No. But again, it changes when the darks are on. We haven't really got the darks as such in this yet. It's mainly lights. But I've got some nice dark purples to put on. And it won't glow until the land goes on. Because the land is what the only thing in the land is going to be black. I might add a little bit of black to a purple right at the top, but I'm waiting to see how the rest of it looks before I make that decision. A bit more yellow, lemon yellow up that top bit. Changing my highlights a little bit more, a bit stronger. Oh, it will look like a sky, Phil. I'm sure it will. No, skies are hard. I mean, if you think about it, in most scenes, where whatever medium you're using, skies are just there as as a background, aren't they? Really, that you cover up a lot of it, or you just do blocks of blue or what have you. But when it's a whole full cloud study, if it's any consolation, I was at the Ashmolean a few years ago and I saw one of Constable's cloud studies in oils, and I thought how rubbish it looked. Chunky it was. Well, this is it. I mean, you don't have to like everything that you see painted. You can appreciate it. I mean, there are some paintings that I would never hang on my wall, but I can appreciate it as an art form because, you know, there are times when I've like Van Gogh stuff. I wouldn't necessarily have his stuff on the wall. However, after I taught a class on painting like Van Gogh, I realised how hard it actually is and what a skill he had. I still wouldn't have it on the wall, but I can appreciate it more now than I did before. Oh, you see, Picasso's interesting because his early work is phenomenal. His portrait work, because his father was a fantastic artist who trained him. Van Gogh's early pastel portraits are photographic, but at the time, as Van Gogh was as Picasso was growing up, rather, he was having to deal with the advent of portrait photography because the camera was around. So he then had to make how can I keep doing portraits but make them different to what everybody's demanding, because people don't want their portrait painted, they now want a photograph of it, which is the new form of art that's going around. So he just tweaked what he already knew to make it work. I don't necessarily get cubism in some ways, but when I lecture in art history, it's quite interesting to hear everybody's responses about things. So it's quite interesting. No, there's only some abstract that I like. I have got an abstract piece on my wall, and it's from a local artist called Eileen Bennett. And when I first opened my shop 10 years ago, she was one of the first people to exhibit, and I was so taken. I think it was only £92. This long, thin, panoramic abstract, and I just loved it, and I've had it on my wall ever since. I know I'm not an abstract person, and I wouldn't necessarily be able to recreate it, which is why I like it, I think, because I know I can't do it, if that makes sense. No, I know what you mean. I think with a lot of modern art, and certainly with the Dada artists and all of that, a lot of them are taking the Mickey out of the art world. And in fact, on an art group on Facebook, someone actually said, "Why is it that a piece of work that somebody spent 50 to 80 hours on, with immense detail, gets 3 or 4 likes, yet somebody that just randomly throws a couple of colours on gets thousands of likes and shares and that kind of thing?" And it's true. It's a very different world. I'm just going to nip down because I've heard the door go. Oh, I've got. Oh no. Okay. I'll be back in a bit. Maybe I'll be as quick as I can. But this is a chatty customer. Right, I'm going to get on with some purples now, I think. So I'm going to do cadmium red and ultramarine, I think. Okay, it's 3:30. I might stick a bit of crimson in there as well, just because I can. And I want to actually, I want to use this paint stuff, right down here. I want to. Oh, okay. I think that'll be all right. Because it's sort of the tops of the clouds, isn't it? This. It's always the scary bit when you put the real darks in, and even for me it gets scary at times because you just don't know. But it should start, this purple should start helping things glow a little. Maybe. Ish. Something or other. A little hint of it up there. Smudge with your finger. Don't forget the finger painting. I don't know, add white to it, because if I add white to it, it'll change how it looks. So I'll just tap it with my finger so it softens. Keep some darks and some lights. It's well, a sky is. We'll go with a sky. No, I've still got lots of. The closer I'm looking, the more bits of white canvas are still showing through. So I don't know whether I'll be able to cover those up or not. bless him. Yeah. Poor little thing. I'm going to still use, I think I'll use the same purple up the top and see how that's going to go before I decide whether to make it darker. Let's make a bit more of this up. Right up here. I'm still using that small brush now, but I'm rolling it. If you remember how we were rolling it and rocking it and rolling between finger and thumb when we started the cloud, I'm doing exactly the same thing here. So in fact, if I let the paint sort of run out, I've still got red underneath, which is good. So sometimes you might question yourself, oh, is it worth putting some underpainting in? Yes is usually the answer, because it saves you. I mean, if we were doing this on white, it would look really weird, or more weird. But I am going to look forward to what you've all created today. If any of you were brave, oh, I'm going to have to go and check that's not my A-board blowing down the road, because we just had a massive gust blow up Parsons Street. Yeah, I'll be back in a sec. I just had a massive crash. Blew the shop door open and everything. Oh. No, nothing broken. It did blow the A-board down, and it blew the shop door wide open, and we've got lots of, I was up there fixing bits of it sort of just after lockdown, and I've still got leaks, but they're manageable ones. It's only when we have huge downpours and I've not emptied the gutter in that it comes down one wall. So at the moment it's manageable. Excellent. Because I'm going to do the bottom in black, and I'm not going to, I don't know if I'm going to do it as a flat black or whether, you see, I might still put some lighter tones over the top of this. I don't know until it's finished how much. I'm going with a bit of crimson and cad red and dark purple, so I'm just dipping my brush into bits of colour. And because technically we've still got an area of white right at the bottom, when that's black, I think I am going to do it just as a strip. I don't know if I'm going to make it look like trees or things. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a wonky line. Yeah. So I might add more red over the top. I just don't know. Let's get a bit of black in across the bottom. I haven't got enough purple clouds down this bottom end. There's some softer purple clouds that I haven't added, so I might add a little bit of white down this bottom end. I'm just trying to get a fluid line. I don't want it straight, but I do want a soft straight edge. So today, really, it's the thing is, it's the layers. It's the layers that are important when you're doing clouds. It's a bit like foliage on a tree. If you think of it in the same sort of respect, that you've got like clumps, and add a bit more. Oh, that's a nice colour, purple. Yeah, let's go with a bit of that. If you can imagine that clouds are not only just left and right, just like tree foliage, they're up and down and over and about, and it helps it come forward and backward and changes it a little bit. I'm adding some slightly purpley clouds with just, I've added a bit of white. I've hardly used any white, so I'll use a bit of it up now. So I'm slightly changing the tones in the sky, but what it's turning into might be something even better. What would Monet do? That's what we have to ask ourselves. What would Monet do? You don't know Monet? Well, he did all right for himself. I know somebody on this artist's Facebook page, I think they only posted to show off I said, so how many of you so far this year have reached £30,000 or 30k? And like nearly everybody's like, you're joking, aren't you? So clearly he was just posting to say that he's made 30k already this year. Well, exactly. It's difficult, really, because what my shop makes and what I make is two totally different things, you know? Because on paper the shop does well, but that doesn't necessarily translate to me doing well. It translates to me being able to feed myself, which is good. I always think that's a bonus, to be able to eat. Yeah. I've got to fill in my white. I've got so many little white bits that I just need to... tap and fill. I added the black down the bottom just to know whether the purple at the top would work. And to be honest, I don't think I will add any more dark colours, but I might glaze some reds and things over the top when it's dry. Thank you. The top bit, the purple, isn't as integrated as I want it to be, so I'm going to integrate it a little bit more. Can you see it's got very hard edges with the purple against the red, so I'm going to integrate that. I'm just going to let it dry for a minute. I've still got, you know, good 15 more minutes before I like to give you your money's worth, you know that. Mind you, you're only paying a fiver. Well, you definitely had your money's worth. You had your money's worth by about 2:15. As long as it'll look like a sky. Have you noticed though what gives the sky real depth? And I didn't really talk about this. Is the fact, because we're working from a picture. But if ever you're trying to make up a sky, a way to get real depth in a picture is have bigger, chunkier clouds right at the top and thinner, flatter clouds at the horizon, and it gives it that feeling that the clouds are going back, which we've kind of done, but because it's in the picture. So I'm going to try and integrate the purple with the red. So I'm just going to be scumbling some orangey red mess over the purple. I've not heard Harry today. Is he out? Is he a mommy's boy? Oh, that's nice. Because sometimes they're very more towards one than the other, aren't they? Oh, you see, that's work to soften it down a little bit. It's less of a hard edge, and that's just from, I've got a bit of red, a bit of cad yellow, and a tiny bit of crimson, and I'm just rolling it over the purple area, so it's hitting and missing again, but it's softening the edges. So I'm doing acrylics tonight. It's a nice little crofter's cottage by the sea. That's the lovely thing about Scottish crofts. There are so many variations. You could do a year of Scottish croft paintings and still not repeat the same one. We have a lot. I just love it. It's because I want to move into one. I'd be happy there. In a nice little Scottish croft. As long as I'd got Wi-Fi. That's the thing. Because I could teach my classes. I'll tell you what's coming up in a fortnight, and hopefully I've got the right week this time. Is it what I thought was last time's this next time? Yes, it is Yosemite National Park. It's definitely Yosemite National Park in a fortnight, which is the 8th of September. I'm definitely sure. Yes. No, it's going to be the same picture. It's definitely going to be the same picture. The one that I posted 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's the same picture as that one, for definite, and it actually is that lesson this week. I'm not going to do any more to this. I think I really like it, but you can see how it's gone more of a glow down the lower part. Once that black's on, it adds a really nice contrast. With the yellow and the reds. I don't know if I've got too much blue showing, whether it should be more hazy coral colour clouds. I don't know, but I don't want to squeeze any more paint out. Let me just break it up a little bit, because I've still got a lot of paint on my palette, but not the right colours. And I've got a lot of white patches on my flipping canvas paper where I thought I'd done it, but I clearly hadn't enough. But yeah, if what's good about this picture is the fact that if you're not necessarily happy with it, you can just let it dry and paint another bit, like I did with the red and the purple over the top part. Just slowly build it up, and it will make a massive difference to the picture. So build your layers up slowly, and it will make a huge difference. But don't be afraid to go dark either, because like I've done, you can rectify it and you can paint over the top of it and make it work better. Yes, don't lean on it. Absolutely, Rosemary, because then you'll get it all up your arm. Is that what's happened to you? Lovely. It's just me. I'm just looking at the picture on the screen just to see what it looks like. It looks alright, actually. I think I'll call it a day. Yeah, that does look better. It looks like I've got an expanse of sky moving back. I don't know if I should yellow that down slightly with a bit more cadmium yellow up here rather than lemon, because yellows are semi-transparent or semi-opaque, similar thing. You can get away with just stippling the yellow on, and you'll see the colour underneath show through as well. So if you want just like little shocks of slightly lighter or sunlit bits, that's when you stipple on neat yellow, and you allow no white, but you've just got that little bit of transparency, so you can see the reds and fairly dry brushwork makes a big difference. Lovely. So I'm just going, so this is cad yellow rather than lemon, and it's just there to do a few little random highlights and let the light shine through. And again, a sort of dry brush. Yes, I am happier. And I'm not fiddling. I am actually assessing. So it's slightly different that I'm looking to change the light. So that's better. Glad you enjoyed it, Trish. I look forward to seeing what you create when you get round to doing it. It's nice to just do a sky, I think. So there we go. That's it then. We've actually got the right picture in a fortnight. You already know what to expect. It's the Yosemite National Park with the trees and the hills. The one that Chris did a beautiful job of. Absolutely cracking job. So that's what we'll be doing in a fortnight. So I'll just quickly run through what's coming up this week, just in case. So tonight is a Crofter's Cottage in acrylic at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow afternoon is a building in Ditchley Park in pencil. Thursday morning's Art for the Actress is Paint Like Brian Cook, which is a very stylised book illustration cover landscape. Thursday afternoon is kayaking at Glacier National Park, which is what the Monday group will be doing on Monday evening. Then Thursday evening there isn't anything. Friday afternoon is Sunset Over the Dolomites, beautiful oranges, browns with snow, and Monday bank holiday, and then nothing next Tuesday until Tuesday evening, which is Swans on Broughton Castle Moat in pencil. So that's what's coming up. So thank you so much for your company as usual. It's wonderful to have you with me, and I will see you all in the digital world, whichever class you're coming on to next. So don't forget to post your pictures. So thank you so much, everybody. I look forward to seeing your work. Take care, everybody. Bye bye. Bye bye. Mate, you are or you're not? Maybe. Okay. You did warn me. Yes. Yeah, you did warn me in advance. Okay. Thank you very much then. Take care. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.